The most challenging thing to do to know as a farmer is how to balance all those, how to balance everything, how to figure out how to balance and prioritize, I guess would be a better way. And figure out what's the most important, what needs to be done, and you know, you just need to have everything planned out. You know, we try to get everything hooked up and ready to go at least a month before we start planting, because you always are going to run into some issues. Personally, I like to do minimum to no-till. It doesn't always work. Sometimes we have to plow, but I prefer not to. And so from that decision, we need to know what we're planting, and then from there, we'll decide what variety depending on our, you know, it depends on what was in front of it. It depends on, you know, how much water we have. It depends on what our neighbors are growing, because some things are easier to grow if your neighbors are growing similar crops. I like using trash whippers with the planter, which are go in front of it and they help clear a path. And I like to maintain a speed of about 4.5 miles an hour. I don't like to push it too fast, it gets a little too rough. We use zones that we have created through zone sampling to figure out the best parts of our fields and the worst. And then we use those zones and we have to decide what population we want that crop to be in those zones. And once we figure that out, we can download that to our planter, load up with seed, and then we go out there and begin to plant. We have a date that we usually use quite often, and it's April the 10th, and that's usually when we try to like to be going. Now, weather's going to be a lot dependent. If it's cold or you know, of course, if it's raining or too wet, we can't plant then. But mainly, our start date, soil temperature comes into play, and the weather is the main part. With the water going down, it is huge. I mean, a lot of our places have about half the amount of water they used to. And I mean used to as in 5 years ago. And that's been a huge challenge because it changes the way we plant. Instead of planting this whole field and starting the sprinkler to water it up, now we have to plant half of it, water that side, then plant the other half, because if we planted the whole field, that half would dry up before the sprinkler could even get there. I think the diversity of different crops being grown and the genetics being learned in these crops and how they're going to fit different environments is going to be very big for us.